homelessness. Research suggests that children and young people may encounter homelessness or housing instability as a result of abuse and neglect, and particularly from domestic or family violence and disputes. I worked in the homeless sector for a long time, and the amount of young people that come through, because they just can't live at home because of the violence and there's nowhere else to go, and they come to a program like ours, for example, and the stories that they tell, that dad comes home drunk and he's drunk every night and he's just abusive and he's aggressive. May not be physically, but it just creates this really unsafe place for them, and so they feel they can't live there. Or mum gets beaten up and they don't want to be a part of it anymore, or dad has been physically violent. And I say dad because statistically, men are the main perpetrators of violence in the home. And so often it's that powerful figure in their life that's become this highly aggressive and highly abusive person, and it sort of freaks them out and creates this uncertainty, creates this need just to get out and be with their peers who appear to be more trusting than maybe dad or the stepdad or mum's boyfriend or whatever the case may be. And most women caught in domestic violence situations are torn between the children and the person that they love, and so that mum's inability to make a decision can often lead to a lot of unsafe choices. So they stay in this violent relationship and put everyone at risk, and because of this idea that she doesn't want to leave him because he loves him, and so it's all that family system that's quite problematic in that sort of sense. So homelessness is more likely to evaluate in adulthood. However, the Australian Bureau of Statistics data showed that 34,000 children in Australia were homeless in 2005-2006, 33% of the homeless population. So that was that then. In Perth right now we have a housing crisis, so I can only imagine that statistic is out of date, probably needs to be updated, but in 6 years I can only say it wouldn't be any better. If anything, it's getting a lot worse. We have families living in cars, in parks and stuff because of housing affordability is a real issue. So I can only imagine, though, that's probably a working family, like fly in, fly out, perhaps, that just moved over here. So, but a family on welfare, housing affordability is a real issue. You mess up, you lose your home, you're out on the street, there's nowhere else to go. And so it's a real concern. Australian Institutes of Health and Welfare indicated that 54,000 children were accompanied with their parents, 86 of whom were mothers, in supported accommodation, so women's refuge, things like that. In 2005-2006, the main reason for women with children to seek support was domestic or family violence. Staggering statistic. It's a criminal event, but we, for whatever reason, it's not often treated as such when women are beaten up or when women are threatened with knives and all that sort of stuff. What I've come across in the last year is the rise of parents leaving the house, going to women's refuge because their adolescent children are becoming perpetrators of violence. So that's an interesting thing that's been reported by a local women's refuge where I work. So it's quite an interesting statistic. It'd be good to see some of the outcomes of that and see what initiatives are going to be put in place for that. Young people who are removed from care of their parents because of abuse or neglect may also face homelessness or unemployment soon after leaving out-of-home care when they turn 18. A lack of social support networks and poor academic achievement often contribute to the difficulties that young people face in finding adequate housing and employment after care. For more detailed discussion on relationships between child abuse and neglect and adverse consequences of unemployment, homelessness, and adult, see the National Clearinghouse resource sheet. Now, I don't have that, but I can definitely make a note of that and give that to Stephen. But I think that's more localised for Western Australia, but I definitely can make that available. I've got that somewhere here. So, yeah.
I'll make a note of that just so we make sure we get it, Kevin.
Thanks, mate. That'd be great.
No problem.